Good news, everybody. Our producer, Alo, is on the ball today.
Yes, he is.
Tried to like test his reflexes there with that one. He performed well. Good job. All right, and down the bottom left, we have our Green Terran player winning 2 games already today. Can he win a third, get the hat trick? It is Empire.Beastyqt Quiet Terran, or Quiet Tyrannosaurus. Man, I messed up my own nickname. Can we start this one over?
No.
Okay, all right. Well, up in the upper right, in the red, our Zerg player from the team FXO CIS. It is Slavik, otherwise known as Happy Zerg.
You blew it.
Kind of interchange those.
You blew it.
Why? What?
What are you going to do?
What? I don't know. Was that a quote from something?
No.
Oh, okay.
Beastie, quintessential Terran. Beastie, quite terrifying. Beastie.
Quiet Tyrannosaurus.
Just a cutie. There we go.
Yep.
Well, it is TVZ once again. On Daybreak, this makes for pretty dynamic TVZs because Zergs have a lot of flexibility. On this map. It's pretty cool for them. That 4-queen build that we've talked about works incredibly well here because it doesn't take very long for the amount of creep spread to actually start reaching these. Even though they're pretty open, they are still contained choke points. 1 creep tumor in the middle of this would actually cover the entire ramp. So we can see those Zerg players that are very diligent about their creep spread absolutely just take control of a map very early on. Oh, yeah.
I mean, one of the things that I really want to watch for in this game is to see if Slavik here goes for the 4-queen opening or if he goes for something gas-oriented. Now, traditionally, he is a bit more of an aggressive Zerg.
Yeah.
He liked to do the Ling, Baneling, run-bys and like all that kind of stuff earlier than most Zerg players even were doing it. So, you know, I would expect to see something like that from him, but 4-queen is so strong right now that a lot of Zerg players have kind of switched over. So then what I want to see is how is Beastyqt going to handle that, that Terran versus Zerg early game. I'm really going to be watching every TVZ that I cast very closely in the near future here, just because I'm curious to see how Terrans are going to kind of work their way through this phase in StarCraft 2.
Nothing out of the ordinary from Slavik either. It is 15 hatch into 16 pool, and we'll see if he gets gas right away, if he's going to go ahead and bypass that. And it looks like he is going to hold off, so we're more than likely to see that 4-queen build that we talked about before. Beastyqt, on the other hand, opening with exactly what we saw in game number 1 in TVZ against Lowly. Decides to go for a 1-Rax gasless fast expand, and then the 2 gas on exactly the same time that he did last go around as well. So
pretty normal stuff then from him. And, you know, he's done a good job with this sort of thing in the past. I mean, game 1, the last TVZ was on Teldrim Altar, and to a certain extent, I feel like that's not really a map that's a good litmus test for what I'm kind of looking for in this matchup, just because that map has some factors in it that sort of do change the way that people play. But Daybreak is perfect for this. Daybreak is a very normal map, right? You've got 3 easy bases to take. You've got fairly large distance between 2 bases, so people can really kind of do whatever they feel like doing in the early game. So, going to be watching Beasties. Getting that bunker down. He knows that his opponent likes to be aggressive early, so it's a good place to put a bunker in the early part of the game.
That's right, and similar position to what he had in game number 1. Seems like an exact mirror out of him down to the
makes sense.
The exact factory time. And now in game number 1, he did of course switch these 2 structures over and immediately built a Tech Lab for Stim very early on. So now the real question is going to be what Slavik does after this. We actually see a 3rd queen coming up, but not going for the 4th and going back into gas right afterwards.
Yeah, you can certainly wait to get that first gas until, you know, about this time, usually about like 25-ish supply. You'll start making your first gas. And the reason some Zergs wait a little bit longer to do that is because they don't need speed quite that quick. They want to take a 3rd. That's another reason. And because it does just let you get, you know, a few extra minerals early in the game. So, again, still pretty normal 3-queen opening, conversely, from Slavik here.
That's right. So 3 queens on the way. As we can see for Beastyqt, though, he did decide to go for a starport a lot earlier on. That's a marked difference from game number 1, already building that Tech Lab. So it looks like it's going to be that oh-so-annoying Reactored Hellion into Banshee follow-up in TVZ.
Oh, yeah. Yep, that's pretty abusive. You get your opponents to worry about Banshees, things like that, or rather Hellions. Then bring in the Banshees. It's quite annoying to deal with. Now, what Slavik is doing right now, getting that fast cert, is something that a lot of Terran players, or TVZ players, I should say, like Moro and Thorzane, are trying to punish with like early Marine Hellion pushes. But we do see BC going about things a little bit differently here, and that Banshee that he's making right now is certainly going to do pretty well against the Roaches that Slavik is eventually going to put out.
That's right. Roach Warren is about halfway finished for now, and he is sitting pretty comfortably on 3 bases. No queen down there to defend quite yet, but 2 sitting over here and spreading creep pretty diligently outside of the natural. Let's see if this actually drives Beastyqt down, though, to scout this base, and it looks like it will.
Yep. You will indeed see the edge of the creep there, yeah, and he knows that the base is hanging out at its normal location, at that 3rd base location. So now Slavik has to kind of defend this. I feel like it's a little bit, I kind of question just how great a 3rd this quick is. But I haven't seen enough games to really, you know, make a judgment on that myself, I suppose. There's a Baneling nest coming as well. I think Slavik might just give him this 3rd and go all in.
It's looking like it's getting pretty close. He decided to make 9 roaches at the same time. Utilized this extra base for a bit of production. Could send a queen down there to start some injects as well. But 14 more lings coming up right after that, and he's starting to bank a bit of gas as well. So he will be able to make a big roach Baneling ling all in.
Yep, and those Hellions are going to need to make a run for it from those roaches. The Banshee, however, does not. And now Slavik just has to bull rush his way towards his opponent's base. He's now on a timer. He needs to do as much damage as he possibly can with these roaches, lings, and potentially banelings before the Banshee clears everything out. And unfortunately for him, he's not really going to be able to effectively use those banelings because he's going to need to attack like right now. He can't wait for banelings to be morphed in. He's going to try to hide these lings to do it, but I don't know, he just needs to keep running around with those roaches. It's going to be tough to coordinate this at this point.
That's right, but of course Beastyqt is privy to this. He's already picked off a couple of roaches up at the front, and it looks like he is going to lower the supply depot so we can begin the attack with the Hellions, raising them, though, very, very well, but delaying long enough that he's able to pick off another roach or 2, and the lings are indeed going to swing around from the side. The Banelings trying to roll into the mineral line. SCVs are being pulled back at the moment. Are the Banelings going to get in? It's very close, but they didn't really take out that much economy. They mostly just went after the bunker and a few of the attack units, and the last couple of roaches are going to go down. Only 5 workers killed.
Yep, you know, that Banshee really did mess up Slavik's timings there. I mean, he tried to just go for it as fast as possible. He couldn't really quite arrange the units in a way that he wanted to. He had to move through the mineral line in kind of an awkward way with those Banelings, and all of that is exactly what Beastyqt wanted. It let him control those Hellions really easily around the side of the base and make sure that the Banelings didn't really do their job. And now Slavik is in pretty big trouble right now. He does have a supply lead, you know, but he has to kind of make this big round of drones at a time where he's going to be under a little bit of pressure from his opponent.
And now BC's rolling around the bottom right-hand corner. There is a Spore Crawler and 2 queens up, though, and they have at least a transfusion available. They'll have a second here in just a second as well. So, actually picks off the first queen right away just before the transfusion hits, and that 50 energy is there. So, now that the Spore Crawler is picked up, it's going to allow him to kill a second queen and get out of there.
Oh, Slavik moving that Spore Crawler at the wrong time. Exactly. And there's a 3rd queen getting taken out right now. Slavik just losing a ton of his anti-air defense. I'm surprised, actually, that BC isn't going back and hammering this 3rd base a little bit more. Oh, that's why he's got Hellions killing all the drones. Never mind.
That's right, and they are absolutely destroying everything. So now it's 11 workers killed to 5, 63 workers to 54. A very nice job, and it looks like he is going to sacrifice one of these Banshees to DPS down the hatchery, and does. Gets out of there with an incredible amount of damage done for just the loss of 1 uncloaked Banshee.
Yeah, I'd say that's worth it. I mean, he's lost 1 Banshee so far, like you said, and he's killed, what, 3 queens, a bunch of drones, a hatchery. That's a pretty good trade. Slavik now, you know, I mean, he's going all in. He doesn't really have the resources to make good use of that Spire that's coming up. When it finishes, he's going to be able to make like 8 mutas if he saves everything, and there's already a Thor on the way, right? So I think either way, Beastyqt is going to be in a pretty good spot this game.
Yeah, we see another 3 factories being added on as well.
Oh, wow.
So going to be up to a total of 6 here in a second.
Hey, man, what'd I say? Look at it, already happening. Yep.
And he is, of course, with mech builds, you do need to remain a little bit more safe against, because you're a little less mobile against counterattacks and stuff like that. So he's doing a very nice job of putting a bunker down in his mineral line and can still produce 3 or 4 Marines or something like that to be able to throw those in there.
I just love the Banshee opening, too, with this as well. We were just on Build Order Breakdown just an hour ago. We were watching Terran players from FXO go for Banshees into mech play, and Banshees are kind of a way for Terran to still get in and do damage. Not quite as quick, but be able to do damage and, you know, not really have a lot that Zerg can do about it without dedicating a lot of resources to it. You get to add the Raven in as well, which is so nice for killing creep without using a scan. Yeah, I'm telling you right now, what we're seeing here, this is the future of Terran versus Zerg.
Well, it's certainly proving to be very effective now for Beastyqt.
Unless there's
Unfortunately,
mutas.
though, there are mutas there, and the auto turret alone,
Scramble.
as resilient as it is not going to be enough to hold off all of these mutas, and it looks like the Raven is going to go down as well.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a timing thing that Terran players are going to get a little bit more polished. Obviously, right now, you don't want to be out on the map with just Banshees and Ravens killing creep tumors because that happens. You know, you need to have those close to Thors if you're going to be out there doing something. So just a little bit of a messed up timing for Beastyqt there, and he does pay for it by losing a couple expensive units. But overall, his army is still looking okay. And now I gotta say, Slavik though is doing such an awesome job of keeping up. Though I mean, he's doing a great job of staying with it. You know, he was down. Yeah. He's harassing. He's taking more bases.
For the amount of losses he took towards the beginning of this game, it is pretty staggering where he's still at. So, now, of course, his mutas get just completely shut down by 4 Thors. And,
oh no.
He didn't fly
no, you can't magic box that. Oh, you're not even magic boxing.
He
Slavik.
threw him too far away. Is he under attack from something else?
No.
Because he flew them just still inside of the range of the Thors, and the Thors brought him back, and they auto-clumped.
I think that probably was what it was. I mean, the thing is, if you're playing mech and your opponent makes mutas, you generally are pretty happy about that because you're going to be prepared for mutas. All you need is a couple turrets and a couple Thors, and then your bases are just fine. And now look at that. We have the 150 supply mark where we see most meching Terrans move out in TVT and TVZ. That's a strong army.
That's right. Oh, grabbed the automaton there. That's going to be fixed. Though. We just have to let people know when you grab a critter. And we won't tell you why we know that, but that's going to be fixed when you grab a critter and try to follow things and it follows a critter instead.
We're psychic.
Yes.
We know that's a bug now. So, Beastyqt moving out across the map here. He does need to be a little bit careful. You have to be very safe when you move this stuff around. And look at that. He loves those Manor command centers. There it is. Oh, immediately getting destroyed. But
lost 400 resources because of it.
Yep. Does he have enough to handle these roaches?
Well, Slavik is taking quite a bit of damage, but there's no siege mode up, so BC not being as effective as he could have been with those siege tanks. It's still on the way. That being said, though, he has done a good bit of damage. He's going to move down to the bottom right-hand corner. There's a good chance that he'll be able to deny the space. There's 102 drones up for Slavik. He really over-droned in this game.
You know, now the thing is, the bane of mech TVZ is Broodlords, and that's exactly what Slavik's going for. If he can get out Broodlords somehow, he's going to have, you know, Beastyqt in a pretty good position because of his lack of Vikings, but I just don't think it's going to get to that point this game. We'll have to see.
This is an incredibly high DPS army.
He's making another command center, isn't he?
Thors are so good against the roaches, and yeah, you're absolutely right. Just outside of the creep as well.
He's like, get out of my game, man. I don't care if you're 10 supply up. Get out of the game. Oh, nice surround here by Slavik.
Yeah, it is actually. Oh, loses another command center outright. That's 800 resources lost. That is bordering on bad manner.
It is. Now, let's see. Those are 2-2 mech. Not going to be quite strong enough to handle this. And, yeah, looks like Beastyqt kind of miscalculating a little bit. The big thing that I'm noticing here, and this is a reason why a lot of meching Terran players will lose pushes like this, is that they don't have a lot of Hellions. You need a good amount of Hellions to buffer against the roach damage. I sound like a broken record when I watch TVZ because so many Terran players make this mistake, right?
That's right.
So, yeah. Well, if there had been more Hellions, you might have been able to survive.
20 kill Thor there, but it finally does go down. Yep. As we can see out of Slavik, though, he's sitting on 3 bases, but re-expanding to his 4th and 5th. So we'll try to get those up momentarily. He is down to 89 drones now, lost another 13 in that engagement, but it's probably right where he wants to be, actually. So Hive Tech is morphing in now, pathogen glands being researched for a few infestors, and when that hive finishes up, we'll probably inevitably see those Broodlords come out in a bit.
Yeah, he's got plenty of drones at that natural expansion, too, that he can transfer over to his 4th base at some time soon. Now, Beastyqt is doing the right thing and being active with these Hellions around the map, trying to kill the drones at his opponent's expansions, but he just needs to not lose them. You can harass, but you just can't suicide your Hellions in there, and that's kind of what's happening down at the bottom. Yeah, just losing a bunch more Hellions here.
That's right.
Those are Hellions that aren't going to be around for the final fight.
And it looks like there are still 11 on the field at the moment. These roaches aren't going to be driven away over at the Xel'Naga Towers. Beastyqt is going up to 3-3 upgrades for that mech as well. But, as we mentioned before, bases number 4 and 5 just finishing up for Slavik. At the same time, his Hive Tech is about to finish up. And, you know, hopefully he's going to have the economy that he needs to be able to stabilize on Broodlord play after he trades armies.
Yep, that's right. He's going to have enough Vikings now, it appears, but...
That's right.
He's going to need to also kind of be a little bit careful with this push. And there goes command center number 3. He wants to really make sure that his opponent knows that he wants him to leave the game.
No kidding. Looks like he is going to kill this hatchery, though. Units are in position for Slavik for a flank, but it looks like they're running away down to the bottom right to deal with yet more Hellion run-bys. That actually just killed a lot of Lings and drones.
Do bad, yeah.
Holy crap.
That was
the 52 workers killed.
That was pretty good. And there's another planetary here as well. I mean, practically speaking, if Beasty can turn this into a planetary fortress, it would be a bit amusing. You know, he could potentially use that as sort of a staging ground to push out from. But Slavik looks like he might just want to go around the side and force a base trade here. It's hard to base trade against mech, but he might decide to go for it. At the very least, taking out this 4th base right now.
That's right. Thors are pretty darn good building killers, and they do go through that. Looks like the Roaches tried to run into the 4th, but there was already a siege tank and a planetary fortress up, and they decide that that is enough, and they're not going to press their luck anymore.
The command center has been paused. He did stop building that, unfortunately.
Aww.
Give it about half-life, and he's pushing again. Infestor's locking down some of those Hellions. Again, the Hellion count's a little bit low, so if Slavik can come in with a good amount of Roaches and Lings and surround this. Oh, Infestors from behind, causing the tanks to fire at those infested Terrans, causing the Roaches to be able to get in right on those Thors. Oh, wow, I feel like, well, yeah, it probably was good to not run in right there, but it was close. I mean, he needs to wait for a few more units.
If he would have gotten any closer, he would have been inside of the firing range of the siege tanks as well, and that would have been pretty devastating, especially, look how quickly, I mean, these Roaches just get decimated by the mech units.
Yeah, when you're engaging like this, what you do is you just run the Roaches right up on top of the siege tanks, and then the siege tanks are firing at each other and the Roaches. So, you know, he had the option to do that, but man, Beastyqt has just got this lockdown so much. 4 Manor command centers.
That's right. It's a 50 supply deficit now for Slavik.
Yep.
And there are 4 more command centers that are coming up at the same time for Beastyqt, and he's pretty close to being able to roll the victory. However, of course, he's going to have to deal with these Broodlords that are up, but he is producing a good number of Vikings. As we can see, there's how many Corruptors? Just 3 Corruptors up.
That's right. You know, if Beastyqt, though, can, or if Slavik, rather, can get a few more Corruptors out, he'd be in good shape. There's not really a ton of Vikings left. There's some, but not a ton. These Broodlords will do a bit of damage.
Let's be honest, though. I'm actually going to back up Beastyqt here for a second as he does cancel those command centers. You remember what happened in game number 1? Lowly had clearly lost the game at about the 12-minute mark, something like that, and stuck in for another 11 or 12 minutes in game.
Drawing the fire of the Broodlords. That's kind of smart.
That's cute.
Well, that's funny.
Yeah. Back up.
Oh, man. Yeah, he's just delaying. I like that. I like that. Waiting for the Viking count to get up higher. Beastyqt kind of playing with Slavik right now, landing the mule. Oh, man, the Manor.
That's right.
The Manor mule, the Manor command center, Manor CC bounce.
That's right.
Beastyqt, man, he's got some style. I'll give him that.
Yeah, no kidding. So I think he's just repaying lowly now.
GG,
there's the GG from Slavik. Empire has won their 3rd game in a row. Beasty just 2 games away from all killing FXO CIS.
Wow, and all killing it in style, man.